I am so excited today to get to introduce you to Rahul Reddy. He is a longtime Pokemon TCG competitor. He's played at many a Pokemon Worlds. He got top 8 at Perth this year, top 16 at Gdansk, and even top 8 at Pittsburgh at the beginning of this season. He was known a couple seasons ago, or last season, for his Reggies. And Ro, would you like to introduce yourself? Because I'm sure you can do it better than I can.
Absolutely. Hi guys, my name is Rahul. I've been playing competitive Pokemon for probably like 12, 13 years maybe. Qualified for 7 world championships to date, have a ton of accomplishments, but I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me, RC.
Are you excited for Worlds this year?
I am actually. I have never actually participated in a Hawaii Worlds, but when I like first started playing the game, like Hawaii was like the first Worlds I wanted to go to as a kid, and I never had that opportunity. So it's a really cool like circle, I guess we've come back to.
Yeah, I guess you could say it's your like almost like anime comeback arc.
Yeah,
Uh, you didn't make it that year, you couldn't go, but now you're back and you're ready to win Hawaii.
hopefully, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. I know we can't ask you anything specific about your deck coming up, but are there any cards that you're looking at specifically in Shrouded Fable that you might be interested in?
I think so Pokemon has had this like I guess theme of releasing this like mini set or full set coming into Worlds for the last couple of years, and we've done a mini set I think for the last I think 2022 and 2024. And this might be the most impactful set in a long time because of cards like Kyurem, Dusknoir, or the whole Dusknoir line even,
Mm-hmm.
um, Rescue Stretcher, and I think Pheasantipity. Those are like the big standouts in the set. I
Mm-hmm.
think those are very, very impactful for a lot of the metagame, and we'll talk about it more as we go through.
Yeah, for sure. So today we're going to be looking at Shrouded Fable. Uh, it seems like an interesting set. I've only played about almost 2 years now. It's like
Yeah.
Pokemon Go was my first little mini set that I ever saw. But yeah, it has never really seemed like they were super, super impactful. Um, and then I heard so many people talking about all the cards in this set, and I was like, "What is happening?
Yeah.
What is happening? I don't understand." Uh, I've heard a lot of good things about Pheasantipity.
hmm
I hear a lot of people talking about Duster. I really don't completely understand how a stage 2 is going to be like that big in the deck. I'm like a baby Pokemon player, so like I'm sorry if
Sure.
that's blasphemy. Um, but I guess I do hear this like repeated thing where like almost people are like, oh, that card coming up, like oh, that's the Blastoise from X set. Are there any cards like
Yeah.
that this set?
I don't think there's going to be any. Like I think the closest thing to an individual archetype that comes out of a mini set here is
Mm-hmm.
the dark attackers like Okidoki, Monkey Dory, and Petulant. But I think the biggest problem, obviously, is that a lot of them are just two prizers. So even though they're really cool, I feel like they're going to take kind of a backseat till we lose some of our powerhouse cards, and maybe like one more rotation down the line, we can see them making an actual impact.
So you okay? So I've heard a lot of big words about Pheasantipity. So you aren't on that boat, is what I'm hearing.
I think Pheasantipity is really good, but I think it's good because of how versatile it is. Like the
Okay.
card can just kind of like slot itself into a lot of setup decks. Like it can go into Charizard, it can go into Regidrago. Like basically, it can go to any deck that really can just go find a nest ball late game, and Iona to 2 now becomes 6 cards in hand because you draw for turn and you get Pheasantipity for 3, which makes any deck's game plan at the end of the game to come back kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So that card kind of just becomes universally good for its ability more than anything.
Would you say like coming up to Worlds, if you're going to Worlds, you're not really sure what you're playing? Is there a big rush to get some of the cards in this set, or do you think it's fine to, let them take a back seat while you're
I
preparing?
think at the very least, I think if you're not playing Charizard, the Dusknoir line kind of is irrelevant to you. So like if Charizard is something that's like off your table, Dusknoir is probably not a card you're going to see play.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pheasantipity can kind of go into pretty much every deck. So like depending on what your deck is, you might want to play it, you might not want to play it, and maybe if you can't get the cards in time, it's a little unfortunate, but you might not play it. I think if you're playing Regidrago, you need the Kyurem. Like that card is so absolutely insane because I don't think there's ever been a card like that, or not ever, but I guess in recent history that can just wipe the whole board at once. Like you just take two to three prize cards on turn 2, put so much pressure on these setup decks like Gardevoir that need Curlius to play the game, um, and it's just kind of broken. It's just auto. It just kills Lost Box completely. Like Lost Box just gets faded out of the meta because of it. And then I
Good.
think, yeah, and I think Night Stretcher is another one that could be like a pretty universally good card because it acts as like a pseudo recovery super odd, but more niche because you can get one Pokemon or a basic energy from your discard.
Hmm.
And even though it's not as good as super odd by getting three things, sometimes you might just want to like, let's say like Regidrago for example. Like let's say maybe you just want to get that V Star back that immediate turn. Um, and you want to keep using Pokestop, maybe this card is better than Super Odd because Super Odd will put it back in the deck, or you might hit something else off Pokestop again.
Okay. That sounds like there's a number of cards that we're going to be excited to look at when I actually bring this up.
Absolutely.
I've heard some interesting things about Garvantula, like the big one,
Okay.
but not the baby one. Is
Yeah.
like, but that's another set coming out, right?
Yes. In the next set, Stellar Miracle. So this is like a little bit like look
Hmm.
forward ahead, which some players do, and sometimes like when the set does come out, you can go backwards and just buy it. It's not a big deal. Um, but this Galvantula is a really cool card because we're gonna have a Joltik that comes out in the Stellar
Hmm.
Miracle set, which is in September. That attaches two grass and two lightning from our deck to one of our Pokemon or any of our Pokemon, I think.
Oh wow.
Um, so then this Galvantula, you can just evolve, and basically you just one shot Zards, which is like kind of insane because you do 50 plus 80 if you have a Lightning, which you probably almost always have a Lightning, so you're doing 130, and then you have 50 more if they have an ability, so 180 for two energy, which is already pretty good for a basic or
Hmm.
like a one prizer. I mean, sorry, and 180 times two is 360. That takes out a Charizard. Kind of a cool like usable card here that just has like future use. I think is like the best way to put it. Yeah,
Them.
The United Wings could be cute if you're like a United Wings believer, but I
Hmm.
think as long as things like Dragapult and Kyurem exist in the format, they can never really be good. Um, but it's like a cute, like fun, maybe take to Elite Challenge kind of deck. Like if you're like metagame has like no Drago or something, you have another United Wings attacker.
Oh, wasn't there like a day two United Wings, like not this last NAIC, but the NAIC before?
Yeah. There was a couple of players. I think Alex Shemansky and his group, very notable player, brought United Wings, and actually I think top 32 was the best I think one of them did.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
so pretty close to top eight, maybe a game or two. So
I know they have a grass attacker. That's huge.
absolutely. In the
Okay.
water section, we have an interesting addition with the Kingdra EX. I think it's not super good right now because decks are a little bit too fast for it. But
Hmm.
the Kingdra EX has King's Order, which lets you put three water type Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. And I feel
Okay.
like it's like one of those cards that at some point it's probably got to be good because you guaranteed get the back Excaliburs. So you can go like Kingdra backs, and maybe a second Kingdra EX. But at some point, there's got to be some water Pokemon that's going to be so good and that's gonna like kind of play into it. And the Seadra also has Call for Backup, which gets three Pokemon and puts them into your hand. So you can go
Hmm.
like Seadra, put three guys into your hand, then Kingdra and put stuff onto your board, and maybe build like some sort of a crazy water deck that might just be like the new wave, especially with backs being in format. And then Hydro Pump just does infinite damage as well, um, but you don't have to discard them. So like this Kingdra could just be like long lasting damage throughout the game.
Oh, that's insane. Yeah, Chin Pao, like, I tried playing Chin Pao recently,
Yeah,
and getting it back, the energy back every single time, I feel like I'm just like praying for the correct, like my Pokestop to run correctly, and
yeah.
it never
And
does.
And this one, you kind of just have like your big beater now, and you're saying like you can deal with my big beater, or you can take out my backs. But if you take
Hmm.
out my backs, I still have this guy. So like you create this weird, like prisoner's dilemma for your opponents to deal with. Nothing here with Rever Room. I think like
Okay.
it's just kind of mid because the second attack just discards the whole Pokemon and all cards attached, so it's just bad.
Oh, wait, what? I did not read that part. Discard the whole
Yeah,
Pokemon. What in the world?
discard this Pokemon and all attached cards. So you're gonna do one big attack, and then you pretty much lose a whole guy.
Uh oh.
Um, But
Oh.
the star of the set here, I think, is the Dusknoir line here,
Mm-hmm.
because and the deck that can use it the best is the Charizard deck because Dusclops lets you put 5 damage counters on the board with knocking yourself out, giving your opponent a prize. Dusknoir gives you 13 damage counters, and it's the same effect. But what Charizard often struggles with is early damage. So like a lot of the time, early times, like Charizard will swing for 180, which is
Mm-hmm.
not a super impactful number. But now you can pop your Dusclops, immediately go up to 210 or 240 with Defiance Belt, and those 5 damage counters can help you knock out something like a V Pokemon earlier in the game, or just put damage somewhere else to help you get to like bigger numbers, like 310 on Dragapult easier, or sorry, maybe Dragapult's 330. I don't remember, but like you can get to those bigger numbers easier, while kind of playing the prize trade game that you want. Because sometimes maybe your opponent can play around your Roxanne and Zard, but now
Mm-hmm.
you're saying I can dictate when I take you to Roxanne turn. Um, and just small things like that. So it kind of gives Charizard a little bit more agency of the game, rather than being in a spot where if your Pidgeot gets knocked out, you're just kind of like scrambling for um, just your two Zards on the board, like fighting for their life.
That actually sounds insane. Yeah, I didn't even think about the prize mapping with Charizard,
Mm-hmm.
because like there was like a while where people were like basically like baiting you to take the prize.
Exactly, and like this way, like Charizard's control matchup gets a lot better now because Blocklax, for example, or something can only do like can Big Charm or something their guy to go to 200, but now with one Dusclops pop, Charizard's swinging for 210, so you can't sit there behind your Snorlaxes over and over, and something like Dusclops and Dusknoir go through Mimikyu as well. So these
Oh
cards can
yeah.
kind of just pop these annoying cards for Charizard in a sense. And I don't think it takes away too much from the consistency of the deck because you just need to play like a 1/1/1 line. You can even play like a 2/1/1 in case you prize the Duskull, but it's just like really easily usable because you can go Duskull, Dusclops, pop the Dusclops, Super Rod back to Duskull, bench it, and then later in the game you can Candy into Dusknoir, use it again for Dusclops. But basically you just get to kind of dictate your own pace of the game, which I really like, and your early Ionos get a lot more powerful because of that.
That sounds like actually insane. Like, I don't know, I had heard the Death Door and I was like, okay. But
Yeah,
yeah, actually the more we talk about it, that seems like pretty insane. So you only think though that you would see it in Charizard played, no
I
other
think
deck?
so. I think it's very difficult to kind of slot into another deck because no other deck really wants to give up prize cards, and like 5 and 13 damage counters aren't really enough to swing the game for a lot of
Okay.
decks. Um, so I don't think like right now they'll see play in other decks, but until yeah, just Charizard for now. Yeah.
Okay. For
Uh,
sure.
in the fighting types, there's nothing crazy, but I do think this Blood Moon Ursaluna could be pretty good because it has like the ability that accelerates to itself. Like when you play it, you get two basic fightings. So you can kind of just slam it onto the board and power itself up. And it does 100 plus 30 for each damage counter on your opponent's active. So if you
Okay.
play some sort of like spread deck, like Xander Pro played a Frostlass Monkey Dory deck at NAIC. He did in day two, but the deck idea was really cool. So maybe you play something like a spread deck, and then this becomes your late game attacker where you can go like Ursaluna, double fighting, attack with Mad Bite for a one shot on something your opponent is like creating a threat with. Like maybe your opponent has like one big Iron Hands or one big Lugia, for example, and you can use Mad Bite to one shot it and take out their lone threat, and then Monkey Dory and Frostlass will just do all the rest of the work. So it's something like an interesting idea. It would also fit into like Lost Box pretty well, I think. But unfortunately, I think Lost Box is just kind of dead with Kyurem being out. Because
Oh
you can
yeah.
Sableye or like cram something, and then you can clean up the game with Blood Moon Ursaluna as well. Um, so it's one of those like self-sufficient cards as long as you have vessels. The only downside is it's for a treat, so I think that's kind of what kills it a little bit. So
Yeah, for a treat is rough. Is there ever a world where we put Dusknoir and Ursaluna together? Like that's what, 390 damage?
you definitely could, and I think like you definitely could play with this, and then like have like you can play into like heavy rock sands early or something too. Like make your deck something where your engine is just getting into rock sands and like spamming those while putting your opponents to low hand sizes, and then just maybe play like legacy energy, so your Blood Moon Ursaluna also becomes a zero prize knockout for your opponent to take.
That would be. I was kind of memeing for the record. I was kind of memeing.
It
But
could be interesting. It's worth trying.
390 health, 309 damage? Well, would it actually be 490 damage? If I'm doing
You're
math
just
correctly?
you're just bullying people at that point.
Yeah, for real.
Dark types is where the bulk of this expansion comes in. I actually didn't play the DLC. I don't know. Did you, Ursi?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay, cool. So we both don't know the lore of
No,
what's going on here.
no
um,
clue.
so I bought the DLC, but I just never played it. So I don't know
Same.
the lore, but it looks like all the big guys in this like DLC, Petrant, Okidoki, Monkey Dory, and Pheasantipity are all dark type attackers. Um,
He looks so weird.
yeah, we have the whole gang coming up here. I think the other guys aren't like really worth talking about. I think Petrant is cool because you can now make this like poison deck. The Pokemon seems so insistent on trying to make poison work. Like they keep
Okay.
trying to make like a poison archetype or poison deck work, and every single time it falls flat on its face. But this might be the first time where you can actually play something because Okidoki powers itself up with poisonous musculate, and gets two
Wait,
basic dark energies,
okie dokie.
uh,
Okay.
and powers itself up. And then you have the Monkey Dory, which these ability names are ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, no, the ability names, I saw something on them. They were really funny names. Oh, no, you don't.
Yeah, oh no, you don't here. So Monkey Dory effectively becomes a one prizer, but it only hits for 190. But with poison, it effectively can be 210. And if you play Sneasler, that can become 250 potentially.
Okay.
But later in the set, we'll see a card, Binding Mochi, I believe it's called. It gives you plus 40 if your Pokemon are poisoned.
Ooh.
So you kind of can get to like these big one-shot numbers with
Mhm.
Okidoki and Monkey Dory potentially. But the big problem, obviously, is like it's super. Um, I don't know. It's like super. It's like Bad Moon. I feel like if you're gonna play like a deck that just needs to accelerate energies and swing, I think Roaring Moon does the job a little bit better.
Okay.
Um, because you still need to play cards like Janine, to accelerate Dark, which is a supporter in this set that we'll see later on that gets 2 Dark from your deck and attaches it to your board.
Oh wow. That sounds really
Um,
nice, honestly.
so the Dark package makes sense, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
um, it'll probably be future good at some point.
And
Yeah.
then, I mean, you talked about Fizzdipity a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Uh, what all decks do you think is actually a slot into? I heard Miraidon's really gonna like it. We did one video with Miraidon recently on YouTube,
Yep.
and Ian and Rob mentioned it's gonna be really strong with like, oh, you wanna take out Mew EX? Who cares? I'll just draw with Fezandipity. But can you think of like any other deck that might like having Fezandipity in the deck?
Charizard's a great one. I think
Mm-hmm.
Charizard already has a bunch of 2 prizes on the board, so it doesn't mind having like, oh, you're going to take out my Pidgeot. I'm going to Fezandipity for 3 more cards and probably find what I need. Or,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you boss killed my Lumineon. I can Fezandipity and get what I need this turn and maybe collapse it away in the same turn, or end the game. Pao is one that it could work to, where like if your opponent chases down your barrels, this could
Yeah.
come in and give you more cards. I just don't know if it's like worth the slot. It's like a consideration there. Um, Let's see. I mean, Drago could play it. Bolt could play it. Like basically all these decks that have like just want to keep going and like end the
Mm-hmm.
game with like boss as a strategy. This card becomes really good because you can't really deal with that deck's attacker and Fezandipity at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But this Genesect is kind of interesting. I'm sure someone will find a way to make this work. It has the ability in the metal section. It has the ability Ace Nullifier, which says if you have a tool attached, your opponent can't play Ace specs. So this might just be really good to like stop a stamp turn or a prime catcher turn if you know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
But like I haven't found a way yet. Like I've been like brainstorming a little bit and maybe like I haven't tested too much yet for Worlds. But I'm sure someone has like cracked the code behind how this deck can like really this card can really like stop your opponent's strategy from working in some capacity. So I think there's like I'd be interested to see what happens with this as like a fan of the game.
Are you scared of seeing it at all come Worlds?
I think if my deck doesn't play Vacuum, absolutely. Like if my deck doesn't play Vacuum and I need to play like Stamp or Prime Catcher as a part of my pivotal strategy,
Mm-hmm.
I think if someone slaps this down and attaches like a Bravery Charm or something to it, I'm just going to be like, okay, can't really deal with that one. How are we going to play this game without my very powerful Ace Spec card?
Dun dun dun. You've been stalked.
Yeah, one person gets a Prime Catcher, the other person doesn't. It seems a little bit unfair, you know?
Does kind of seem unfair.
This set also comes with 2 amazing dragons, I think, for the game.
Mm-hmm.
We have Haxorus, that has
Okay.
bring down the axe, which could be really niche for Edgy Drago against Lugia. But I think the big
Oh.
use case is the Dragon Pulse attack, which does 230 and discards the top 3 cards of the deck.
Ooh.
Which for Edgy Drago, a lot of the attackers you have don't really efficiently deal with one-shotting something because you play
Mm-hmm.
like Dragapult and maybe Tina V-Star or Raging Bolt, which both require like 3 to 4 energy being discarded for an attack. But Dragon Pulse will just be able to do 230 into like an Ogre Pawn, another V Pokemon pretty easily with Dragon Pulse. And you just have to discard top 3, which a lot of the time the deck doesn't care about doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Boogeyman card of this format is this Kyurem,
For
which can
real.
discard all energy and does 130 to 3 Pokemon. And even if you play Manaphy, there's the Prime Catcher Cologne combo that Regidrago can play. And Regidrago is one of those decks that can see pretty much its
Mm-hmm.
whole deck in like 2 or 3 turns because how much draw
Yeah.
power it has. So it's like, okay, I went like Guardy went TM Evo, get 2 Curlias on board, and now all of a sudden all 3 of your Curlias are dead. How do you play the game? Like that's the biggest thing. Same with Charizard. Like all these setup decks
Mm-hmm.
are really like scared of seeing this card. Like any of those setup decks are like, I'm trying to get a Pidgey and a Charmander into play. That really sucks. Your board just got wiped.
Yeah, for real. He actually does so much damage. I actually did not realize it was 3 until I just like double read this card. By the way, for some reason I thought it was 2. I thought it was like, oh, it's Greninja with a higher damage. No, this thing's 3.
Yeah.
Oh
Which
no.
really makes games hard to play. And I think like it if you're heading to the World Championships, I think if you're going to play a setup deck, you might want to consider it like twice, just because if you run into a Regidrago and they find the Prime Catcher Cologne combo, and just pop your board. It could just be really scary to play the game. Like it's just impossible. Like you just lose on the spot, right? Like so, it's just how often do you think they'll pull it off? Do you think they'll prize pieces, etc. So this card definitely is like the biggest game changer I think from the set.
Okay. That is actually insane to think about. He is a big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's actually crazy.
But the trainers, there's a couple of interesting ones.
Mochi you mentioned up here.
I did. I think the Mochi is really cool because you can now play this like poison style deck, which help you do 40 more damage. And like this puts Okie Dokie at 300 or Monkey Dory at 230. And then if you have poison taking on your opponent as well, you're doing like a plus 20 or plus 30 in between turns, depending on Sneasler. So like that damage can add up. And if you play something like Mochi and Petulant in Charizard, you can get another little bit of damage. But I think you have to sacrifice like your Dusknoir line, obviously. Like it's like pick a package basically. But like that can kind of just give you more damage in Charizard as well because plus 40 is better for Charizard than plus 30 with Defiance Belt sometimes because it can put you like from 180 to 220, for example, or 240 to 280, for example. So it just kind of bumps up that number threshold pretty nicely, actually.
Nice. Okay.
There's also Colress's Tenacity, which is a supporter. It's super interesting because you can get a Stadium Energy and shuffle your deck. I think this is like a good future card. I don't think it's like great right now because it's got the word Colress and Kyurem just kind of bodies that. Kind of a lot of hate here for Colress, apparently.
He's not loved in Pokemon.
Not at all. So this card I think could be future good at some point with some sort of like control deck or something that could really utilize it. And then we have like two of the worst ace specs that we've ever seen in our lives: the Dangerous Laser and the Pokevital A. Like I don't know, these just like why would I play an ace spec that just burns and confuses? Like this doesn't make any sense to me. For my most powerful effect.
Oh yeah, 150 or like you were saying, the burn. That's if you had to pick between one of them, which one you run?
I think it's got to be the burn poison because the other one can't even be put into your hand or discard pile or deck from your discard pile ever.
Oh no. This is also an ace spec though. What do we think of the neutralization zone?
I think this card is really cool. I haven't figured out a way to break this yet, but it's actually really interesting because it's prevent all damage done to your Pokemon that don't have a rule box from so basically just EXV Pokemon. So there might be a deck where like a world where people aren't playing stadiums in their decks. Like right now, stadiums are pretty popular, I think. But in a world where stadiums are less popular, neutralization zone could step in and kind of make this crazy lock control style deck that really gets to dictate the pace of the game. So I think this is a cool future card at some point. I'll definitely pick this one up for just having it in my box, but I think there's like definitely utility for it down the line.
Awesome.
In the last couple of Night Stretcher, super good. I think it's one of the versatile cards that I think could go into pretty much any deck.
Oh, it's basically the supporter that what was the supporter that Lost Box used? So back in like Peoria a year ago. That like pulls 2 Pokemon and 2 energies into your hand.
I know what you're talking about, but I'm also blanking.
What is her name? Oh no. But yeah, there's like a really big supporter in Lost Box that did half of this, but it's an item.
Yeah, and it's super good because like you can kind of like sometimes, like I said, Super Rod might not be the one you want to do, so this kind of just like wins you the game on spot a lot of the time. There's the Janine Secret Art as well as a supporter. That supporter is just for like dark stuff, which it could be good for. I think Sada is strictly better for Moon.
Okay.
But this like dark box strategy we talked about, I think you kind of need this to kind of work with it because it poisons your guy too. But I don't know if this is better than Moon because Sada also draws you cards and this doesn't.
That makes sense.
And the last two like impactful trainers or like last two that are left are the Power Glass tool card.
Okay.
Which says at the end of your turn, if there's the Pokemon in the active can attach a basic energy from your discard to it. So I think the only like real couple decks that you could use this are like Chien-Pao, maybe Miraidon, maybe Drago, but like it seems super situational. I feel like it's one of those cards like I would just rather play something else in that slot than kind of get something in the active, attack with it, put the Hourglass on, and maybe I hope it survives till next turn again.
Yeah, I mean, even if they just bring it, I mean, I guess vacuum doesn't matter, but like that's only one turn. If they decide to vacuum the next turn.
And the last card in the set is 06 Machinations, which is interesting. I think it's really cool for control decks because it says your opponent discards cards from their hand until they have 3 left. So like control decks sometimes will be like when you're playing against control, you kind of build up your whole hand and then you're gonna do like Iono loop and try to like figure out the game from there sometimes. And if your opponent just slams a 06 randomly in the game when you have like an 8-card hand or something, and you've been building that hand maybe, it has like the power of like a super airy because you're gonna only keep your good cards at that point, and the next turn they can go for an airy and try to get something out of your hand that's really good. So they can go like Xerosic, thin out all the bad cards from your hand. So now you don't have like these cards you're going to keep shuffled back into your deck, and all you're left with is good cards. And so then control can go like Airy or MF Sisters or something and just pick off your good cards from there.
That makes a lot of sense. That sounds like it sounds dangerous. It sounds like you're going to be winning Diono earlier than you normally want Diono your hand.
Yeah, it creates this like weird like mind game situation.
So those are all the competitive cards. But what is your favorite art? I feel like arts really matter.
Okay, this is close because there's a lot of really cool looking cards in this.
Oh god.
I think like a lot of these cards are gonna make their way into my binder. I have like for those of you guys watching, I have a cool card binder that I started putting together a couple years back because
that's fun.
I just wanted to start putting stuff I like in there, and eventually stuff's gonna get like expensive, and I don't want to like look back on it 5 years from now and be like, I really wish I had bought this horsey illustration right, you know? Like I'd rather just get them now and put them in my binder. I think this Monkey Dory is like absolutely insanely beautiful. Like I really like the
the maple tree is really nice in the background.
Like I like the cherry blossoms. He's sitting on the tree. The purple and pink like kind of go well together, and it fits like the Gardevoir deck theme.
Yeah.
So I really like how pretty it is. And I think second would have to probably be the.
Just Beware is freaking me out if I'm being honest.
Yeah, he's all up in your face. It's like that's the last thing you see before you die.
Yeah.
I think it's probably got to be the Cassiopeia Secret Illustrator at the bottom.
This? Oh, is there more down here? Wait,
yeah,
I'm so surprised.
Because there's supporters and the full arts are all like okay. There's whatever all the time usually.
Keep going. Art though, my bad. So many arts. Oh, this is a really cool one, actually. I feel like, who doesn't know? I do like cybersecurity research. I feel like this is how people imagine.
Yeah, this is how you do it.
This is not what I do, but this is how people imagine cybersecurity over there, like hoodie up,
typing away,
in the dark. Yeah.
You and your Sylveon.
Yeah.
I think the color scheme on this is gonna go crazy when it's like actually like I haven't seen a in-person like version of the card yet, but I feel like that's kind of go crazy.
It's gonna be beautiful.
I think so. And then I think third is probably like the Zorua. I think the Zorua is really cute.
Zorua. That's fun. This Pokemon makes me so sad after. Did you ever play Legends of Arceus?
I did.
Bro, what did they do to the Zoruas in the history? That's just like such a bad lore. I think that's everything for this. Rahul, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Rahul has a YouTube channel. I think it's Rahul Reddy on YouTube.
Yeah, just my name.
I'm gonna post his socials again in chat. It'll also be linked down below when the YouTube video goes up. He's the Flea on Twitter. Do you have a Metafy? Anybody can find you on there?
I do. My link is in my bio. It's just, I don't know the exact link, but it is in my Twitter bio and in my YouTube comments. So if you guys just want to head there and sign up for coaching, I am locked up until World's Ends, but once I'm back, I will be kind of going full force for the next season. So if you guys are looking to break into that top 125 THR Worlds invite or just generally improve your game one step at a time, feel free to hit me up.
Yeah, so if any of y'all liked his insight today, he is after Worlds, free to help with coaching, and you can help on the Metafy as well. Is there anything else you would like to say before we sign off here?
Nothing from my end. Thanks for having me, Ursi. Thanks for entertaining me, chat, and you guys will have a good one, and hopefully I can put on a show at the World Championships for you.
Fingers crossed. Good luck. You got this. And thank you again so much for hopping in here and helping us with this set review.